In this video, I wanted to show you some different things that you can do with fonts in Design Space. So, I've typed out a few words. So to change, it will automatically default to Cricut Sans. So to change any font, you would come up here to this font box. And here you'll have a few different options. All is going to be all of your fonts, the ones that are in Cricut and the ones that you have downloaded. System is the ones that you have downloaded, and Cricut is the ones that are in Cricut. The ones that are in Cricut, you don't necessarily have to download to use them, although you can. And the ones that have this is an A for Cricut Access, and that's going to be a free item. You won't have to pay for that. You can see this is one of the ones that I have downloaded, and this little check mark means that it's saved for offline use. So if I'm using Design Space offline, I'm still able to access this font. Okay, so I'm going to go to the fonts that I have downloaded, and we'll select a cursive font. Let's bring all these down a little bit. Okay, so the first tip, I like to change the color of my fonts right away to anything lighter than black. And for that reason, let's scroll on a little bit. You can see this very thin black line around the word. That's a stroke line, and also your cut line. So right now it's going to be cutting everywhere where you see a black line, and I don't want that to happen. So what you're going to do, another thing, let's see, some of them now, a new feature is to only kerned fonts. I'm not sure, it doesn't seem to make a difference if I have it checked or not. Everything usually comes up. So what you want to do first is make sure that the letters are relatively close to how you want them. One way to change them before ungrouping is to come up here. You can change them at this area. So like that. I think, oh, maybe too much. You can kind of see the tips of the, so I'm going to make it a little bit farther apart. There we go. Okay. And so that's close enough. Now, I don't like how the F is so close to that. So what I'm going to do now is go up here to ungroup. And then I'm going to select just the F, making sure that just the F is selected. Sometimes it's easy to select two things. You can see over here in your layers panel exactly what's selected. If it has a dark gray around it, it means that you've selected it. So we only want the F selected. And I'm going to move it over just a little bit. Now, if you hold down your shift key before you click the letter, it's going to stay on the horizontal plane. Oh, wait, hold on. Did I do it? There we go, yeah. Oh, did they change that? Oh, you can still move it, but it's not as touchy. That's weird. Okay, so we'll move that over just a little bit. And I think that looks pretty good. So now I'm going to select all of it. Now you can either select all of it or you can select each word separately so you're able to move it about. So if I just select the word font and I come down here to weld and pay attention to that black line, and you can see how now it's going to be one continuous line. There isn't going to be a cut like this. Okay, so now we'll just weld the word cursive together. Once you weld something, it's permanent, unless you were to hit the back button. So once you save something, it's absolutely permanent. Right now I could undo this, but if I were to go ahead and complete a bunch more actions, the only way to undo it would be to undo everything up until that point. Anyways, okay, so there's cursive fonts. Okay, now fonts with offset. Now you can put an offset around anything. So let's pick. Oh, okay, so that's ginormous. I'm going to come over here to my size, and we'll just make that. Okay, there we go. An easy way, if your image or whatever is selected is so big you can't find where this is without scrolling everywhere, an easier way would be to get it selected, find it on your layers panel over here, and then change the size right here. Or you can come down here and change the size of your canvas percentage by just clicking on this button. Will change. You can scroll around. Okay, so font with offset. Let's go up here and change it to a different color again. Make it a little bigger so it's easier to see. Okay, so let's see. I like how everything is pretty much, so we'll just leave it. We'll just leave it like that. But I do want to make the words closer together. I can't really change that unless I can double click on the word and, well, I'll show you that in the next one. Okay, so with it selected, we'll come up here to offset. And we can change the width of the offset easily here, or we can slide the bar. You can be more precise. Getting it any skinnier than that can be tricky before it goes away. But if I were to come in here and say 0.25, it's ever so slight. So in some cases, when you're working with a word that the lines are so skinny, there's no way that you'd be able to, it might come off of your image for your Tumblr or something like that. A way to thicken it just a little bit would be to make it 0.25, and that will just give it just the smallest. Now, if you were going to use that feature, the next thing you would want to do is to come over here and make sure just your offset is selected. Come over here to contour. Oop, let's see. Oh, that's so sensitive. Okay, here we go. I can't move this back. Okay, so we want to click on these. No, because let me just see something real fast. Okay, no, that's not going to cut. Okay, so let's go back in there and uncheck that. Sometimes it's easier to pull it from the menu. There we go. Let's get rid of that. Okay, forgot I said that part. So there was one offset to do with that. You can also make it bigger, so I'm going to get rid of it or hide it. Just put a nice little bubble around it. Like that. Perfect. Now you could go in with offset again, and you could get rid of that little space right there behind the F's if you wanted to. If you wanted it to be a complete piece, that shadow, if you didn't want it to cut right there, you would come in the contour and then just click on these little pieces. And now it's a complete piece behind there. So that's words with offset. Select both those, make it a little smaller. Okay, so for positioning your words, you type out your sentence, and even if it isn't all in one continuous line, if you type it in one continuous line, you can double click on the word itself come in here and break your words up to go vertically. And then finish that. Come over here. We could go to alignment. We could center the words. We could go over here, make them all to the left, make them all to the right. Like that. Once you ungroup it, though, you lose that feature. So I'm going to ungroup it so I don't lose it. Okay. Yeah, I'll show you. So ungroup it and then highlight it all again. All those features of manipulation with text are gone, except for offset. But you're not able to do some of the features once you hit ungroup. So if you can't do it, you might have to retype out your word again. I've ungrouped it. There we go. Put that over there. Okay. Curved words. So the same. You want to make sure you don't ungroup it, or all these options to change anything will go away. So it makes it so I'm going to duplicate this and we'll turn this into a cursive font because they do line up a little bit differently, and we'll change it so it's easier to work with. Once you weld it, you lose those options, so make sure that there we go. Okay. So you're not going to be able to, the curve is the first thing you'll do to it before anything else changes. Okay, so curved words with script font, when they're all together, can get a little bit tricky. Oh, the curve is gone because I've already messed with it. Okay, so let's try it again. So touchy. Okay, so we'll just pick another one. Okay. Okay, I thought it showed back up again. Okay, so we're gonna curve it. And sometimes when you curve it, you'll see that you need to bring your letters closer together, and you'll have to manipulate them as much as you can. And then once you barely have any, see, we can fix that, so that's fine. You want to get it as close as you can to how you want it before you ungroup anything or weld it, because you can't change anything. So that looks pretty good. It looks, maybe I'll change that a little bit. Okay, so now it looks good enough curve for me. Now I'll hit ungroup. And now I can just barely move these letters, so I'll just select both those. Did it get both of them? Yep. Okay. Okay, so I'll just move that. Okay, like that. Okay, it's a lot easier to work with, or it's a lot easier to curve just regular font, standard font versus cursive, just because, yeah, it's a little bit more tricky to work with. So that was it. Thanks for watching.